Welcome back to episode 3 of Which Is. You are joined by Emily Bigger.
Hello.
And Jane Steer. And we don't have Belle today. She bailed on us. But that's okay.
She would have been like, hey, guys.
She hates
I can't
her
do
voice.
it. She's so good.
I know.
I love it.
I love her. I miss her. And we have got the beautiful Aarti Vincent in the studio. Welcome, Aarti.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Very excited.
We're so happy to have you here today.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about your background in comedy, Aarti.
I started doing comedy after I had a child. So I was like, okay. Before that, I was working as a TV producer with an advertising agency. After I had a child, I took a sabbatical, to raise her, which I thought I would never do because I don't like children.
Love that.
But I ended up loving her, which is a good thing. But after 5 years, I was like, this is not me, babe. This is not me. I was getting, that, what do you call it? Postnatal depression and all of that was cropping up. And I was like, what do I really want to do? Do I want to go back to advertising and I love stage. I love acting. And I was like, okay, I am not waiting for someone to cast me. Quick backstory, when I was new to Melbourne 2 weeks in, I saw an ad in the Leader newspaper where they were auditioning for a British family play based on British family, everything. And I went and auditioned. And my husband said, you won't get the audition. I was like, why? Because in India, we do theater. We do pick up French farces, Russian plays, and we all Indians play those characters, And he said, no, it's based on a British family. And I was like, no, I'll get it. But then I didn't get the part. After I started
I love your determination, though. You're like, yep, I'm going to get that part. I'm going to try anyway. I don't care what you think.
Right?
Like, I like it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And after I started working and I started living in this country, I realized, boom. Now I know why. It was just a light moment. And I don't fit in a British family because I don't look British. It's like, how can I get that part?
Yeah.
Unless it was a servant or a maid or something.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It's horrible, but that is like the reality. Like a lot of TV shows, it's like, oh, British. We mean white British.
Yeah. And then I was like, okay. But then when I decided I want to get back on stage, I love acting. I said, you know what? I'm not going to wait for someone to cast me. I'll write my own thing and I'll do stand-up.
Yep.
And that's how I can get my stage time. And I started as a hobby.
Yeah.
To get out of the house.
Yes,
and away from my
Mom.
child. Like I used to get a babysitter to go and do my hobby.
Good. Men
I
can do
love
it.
that. Yeah.
But
I have to take my child with me. So
But I did it once a month or once in 2 months because, babysitters are expensive.
they're so expensive.
So I was like, okay. And then she started growing. And then I was like, okay, it kept on building. And here I am with you gorgeous, gorgeous girls.
Yay.
And you've got a show in the upcoming Melbourne International Comedy Fest as well. That's so exciting. This is your second or third, or how many have you done now?
I have gone backwards in terms of doing shows. But sometimes, when you're going backwards in life, it's actually going forward.
Yeah.
Do sometimes it
100%.
feels like you're going backward, but you're not. You're actually moving forward. So in 21, I did my first debut solo show.
Wow.
After that, I was so tired. I did split shows with 3 people.
Yeah.
Then I did split shows with 4 people. Oh, from solo to 3
Back.
to 4. So this year I'm like a split show with 2 people. That's a nice step to go back into a solo show.
I think so as well.
And it's also about how much time you've got to dedicate because, as we've discovered, even splitting it between 3 people, there's so much to do.
So much to do. And you're right. It's tiring.
It is.
Like,
I think people just assume stand-up comedians just get up there and like talk for an hour about themselves. And it's like, no, it is very rehearsed. It is very scripted. It is.
yeah. And we don't have a team of producers and writers and things like that. Like us, especially a three woman show. So
Yep. Cheers, girls.
Cheers to
I was
that.
about to say man. I'll say, oh, hell no. You do
To be
not go
fair,
down there.
My partner is going to do the lighting for our show, so he's the only man involved. But you know,
Beautiful. We accept him. That's
we
fine.
accept him. We love him. He's got long hair, so you know. Em, what have you been up to this week?
Well, my week, I have become a gym junkie. And you come across some very interesting people when you're observing. Yeah, there's like a widespread of strange movements in the gym when you don't know what you're doing. So you just sort of sit there and just kind of try to figure out what it is, what exercise that they're attempting. Just, yeah, I'm curious. Like, where did you learn that? Like, one guy turned up in a rain suit in the pool and then went into the sauna in his rain suit. And he even had like this knitted like teacup kind of like beanie that he had on his head to top it all off.
Oh God.
And like, I'm not a judgmental person. I'm curious. Like, I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
Why the raincoat? Like, are you trying to sweat more? Are you subconscious? Like, or do you feel more comfortable embracing your favorite raincoat? Like, what is it? That's me being curious. Like, I'm not sitting there going, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. Like, I want to ask some questions, but it's confronting. So I just sit in the sauna and meditate.
You should have asked him because I'm curious.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
like,
curious
geez.
now.
Now we want to know.
Well, I take my hearing aid out in the sauna, so that'd be a very hard conversation to have. And I wouldn't be able to hear the answer, so we'd be moving on very quickly from that. But yeah, so yeah, just getting fit ahead of our MICF show, so I look like a strong woman on stage.
I signed up to a gym. I haven't gone yet.
Honestly, the happy endorphins, oh my God, they're the best.
Just can't be fucked going to the gym. Today's episode of A Witch is called Witch is Coloured/Speaking in Tongues. Now, I intend this to be a multiple episode kind of thing because it's way too nuanced to just focus on how this has impacted, I guess, one set of people or you know, one country or anything like that. So in particular, we're going to be talking about the shitty British Empire and how badly they fucked up the world. I apologise in advance if last week was an information dump. Today, I'm trying not to do too much of an information dump, but it's important, as I always say, to know a bit of history, to know where we got to today and to kind of learn from that. They say the victor writes history, but a witch writes her story. So we're just going to get into where this all started from. So paganism was initially the first word that was used to describe societies that were not Christian, Jewish or Muslim. So the ones that weren't from an Abrahamic basis. Now, we have some really early records of, in India, for example, European Christians encountered a panoply of gods and goddesses, and they actually called this Hindu paganism. That's how they worded it. But this is only in the 19th century, and that's how it was translated. So it's important to know that we went from having religions that had multiple deities to just having one white dude, essentially, as your leader, or one brown dude, depending on which of the Abrahamic religions you follow. But basically, we went away from having multiple gods and goddesses, multiple deities, to just having this monotheistic society. Now, Christian missionaries obviously set out to convert non-believers because they believed that Christianity was going to be the world's first truly global religion. They were like, let's make religion great again. But they actually really didn't prove that successful in terms of eradicating existing non-Abrahamic traditions. So in a lot of Europe, we actually don't have a lot of context around the gods that they previously worshipped because it was all destroyed once Christianity came into play. And we see this in terms of, for instance, in England, what the English did to the Gaelic community. So the Gaelics were the indigenous community of Ireland, and the English went over there and were like, fuck this, we can't have this. And so we've lost a lot of really rich tradition and culture because a bunch of dudes were like, hey, you've got to convert to this religion or that religion. What is really interesting about places like India in particular and Japan, for instance, is that although they had a lot of missionaries over there that did caused a lot of grief, Hinduism actually remains still the country's dominant belief system. And in Japan, Shintoism is the country's dominant belief system. So although you do have a lot of different religions in these different countries, at the end of the day, they were able to retain that religious aspect and kind of like a fuck you to like the Christians of the world being like, No, we're going to stick with these ones. Now, what I found really interesting, and I think a lot of people know some of the gods and goddesses in Hinduism, a lot of these religions that have multiple gods and goddesses, the women have a lot of power in these situations. So, for instance, you have Parvati, who was a benevolent goddess associated with love and motherhood.
Parvati is the wife in the religious books of Shiva. Shiva is the god of destruction. Right. Now, they say without his wife, without Parvati, Shiva is Shav, which means he's dead body. He's dead. So that's the amount of importance we have for female goddesses in our culture, you know?
Then there's Kali, who a lot of people know Kali because she's usually got like this big necklace with like skulls on it, and she's usually carrying someone's head with one arm, and she's got a sword with the other. Like, she's just this fierce, and she's usually painted blue or black. I love Kali. Every time I read about her, I'm like, she was such a boss bitch. Like, and then we have Durga, who was created by the gods to slay a demon against whom they were powerless. And there's a number of other goddesses in Hinduism that just kick ass, really. So what was your understanding of, I guess, femininity or feminism growing up? Like, was Hinduism something you could aspire? You'd be like, oh, look, there's this strong goddess.
So, no, growing up, like Hinduism, it's a very old religion. I am a religious person, but mostly spiritual than, religious. Because in spirituality, we think religion is like a crutch. But once you reach that stage, it's like someone walking with a crutch. But once they start to run, that'll look stupid if they're running with a crutch,
Yeah.
Like, why the fuck are you doing that?
Yeah.
So same with religion, you got to reach that stage where like, no, I can leave religion. I can leave these practices because I've realized that I'm a spiritual being having a human experience on this earth, and I'll continue to exist. Then you don't need religion. But that's not how I was raised.
Right.
So we were raised like, don't do this. This is bad. This is good, which is good for a child to learn. And as far as goddesses, coming back to your question, it's like Lord Vishnu's wife is Lakshmi. Without her, he's nothing. So it's so important like that. The irony of the situation is that, yes, women had a lot of power, and we've got days where we worship the goddess Durga, 9 days we worship her, we celebrate being woman, and men do that too. The saddest and ironical part is that in the same country, women are treated badly, sexual assaults. Now it's getting better, but it's still not 100% there. Like, if you have a girl, people are like, oh, better luck next time. It's so important to have a boy because boy takes the family name ahead. I'm like...
Yeah, cool story, bro.
It's like
that everywhere, taking the boy's name. And
yeah, it's like, and I'm like, what? So like, women have been suppressed. There have been so many things that were like, sati was a thing where women were burnt after their husbands died.
Yes, I did read about that. Yeah, if your husbands died, the women were expected to die as well, even if they were young and healthy.
Yeah.
They were expected.
I didn't know about that.
Yes.
But all these things they were not there always. I don't know. I think these things were invented by men or discovered by men because it suited them or whatever. Power. I don't know what it was. Yeah.
Coming back to what you said before, how things are getting better, but we're not quite there. Like, that is such a big statement because it is true. Like, we've got a really long way to go where we start, taking women seriously, believing them and supporting them and such like that. Like, I think from my personal experience, like 5 years ago, I left, right? But 5 years prior to that, so let's talk 10 years, I couldn't leave. It's slowly getting there. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I do. And I think that gender roles play such an important part in keeping people down. Both of you are mothers, and I think I'm not, but I stayed with my ex because I was trying to get pregnant with him. We were doing IVF. And I just had this thing in my head, like, I have to stay with him. I have to give him a kid. It doesn't matter how unhappy I am. It doesn't matter how much money I spend on this. This is my role as a woman. And you're like, no, wait, we're so much more than that. Like, why, men are never just identified as being a father. But women, it's usually the first thing you hear. Oh, I'm a mother of blah, blah, blah. It's like you never hear a father go, I'm a father of blah, blah, blah. Like their occupation first, then their hobby second, and then they're their father third or something. But women will usually say, I'm a mother first, then I'm this, then I'm that.
My biggest question, I guess, too, is like, what are men so afraid of? with women, standing up to the top with them and being equals kind of thing. What is threatening them so much that they have to do these, you know, horrible things to them and get away with it? Like, I don't understand it. Like, we give birth to you to get you here on earth. Like, we actually create life. We are the reason you are here.
I read a really good quote recently, and it was, men created God because women created men. And I thought, isn't that beautiful? Like, we give life. And that's the thing with a lot of these religions that existed before the Abrahamic religions. The women and the female deities were always the creators of earth, the creators of life. They had such a powerful role.
100%.
And now you have just this single deity, you know, Jesus or like Jehovah, I guess, or, you know, like there's always just this single male that's at the top of their hierarchy and that's it. And they've got 12 apostles, like they've got 12 dudes that hang out with them. But there's no like, I mean, even the only female really in when you think about Christianity is Mother Mary. And they can't even admit that she must have had sex with someone else because you don't immaculately get pregnant. It's not something that happens, guys. Like,
and I'm pretty sure there was no IVF back then.
No, exactly. So moving forward, one thing that I wanted to bring up, because there's this great quote and it says, media images help shape our view of the world and our deepest values, what we consider good or bad, positive or negative, moral or evil. And I always post all the links to the research that I do on the podcast in case anyone wants them. I wanted to look into the origins of where coloured witches came from because as we've seen with Wicked, for instance, the Wicked Witch of the West, she's green. And that actually was very on purpose. That story was always written from the perspective of the wicked person is always someone who doesn't look like you or doesn't act like you. So it's actually a very important part of history. The very first book that kind of really talks about witches, the Malleus Maleficarium in 1486, says a witch is a person with access to magic, which is understood as a means of manipulating the physical world through the use of spells and rituals. Basically, the reason why the Dark Ages are called the Dark Ages in Europe is because they took away all this knowledge that we had gained from the natural world, from herbs, from observing other cultures, from going, oh, you know what, dancing together is really good at relieving stress. Doing these things is great at relieving stress. And we went, nope, let's put a stop to them. And they saw that anyone that was doing spells, which was the word spell is basically like it's used as a negative thing, but it's coming from just reciting words. Like there's a reason why you spell words. It's because you're reciting words. And there's a lot of rituals in a lot of cultures. And they went and said, nope, this is bad.
An affirmation is a spell.
Yeah.
I'm wonderful. It's a fucking spell.
Yeah.
You know, I'm awesome.
Yeah.
I can do this. I love myself. These are spells. I don't know why witchcraft and witches got such a bad name just because they're women. I was thinking about it when you told me and I thought superheroes, Spider-Man, Superman, what are they? They also have special powers. They also do special things.
Yeah, but they're white dudes. It's okay. They're white dudes.
So they become superheroes. But witches, because they are associated with women, they become witches.
It's important to note that when this was written, there was some white dude who looks like such a, I don't want to pick on his appearance, but James I of England, we'll call him that. And this comes back to what we consume in the world is what we believe. Now, during this time is when this guy's in power, there are witch trials happening in Germany. He has a really traumatic ship experience and he assumes witches are the reason why. So he became the judge and executioner in a witch trial in Scotland. Yeah, he actually went up and oversaw the whole trial because he was like, I have nothing better to do with my life. And he learnt from Germany that if we suppress a lot of these women who were practicing Gaelic arts and things like that, then they can't rise up and attack us. And a lot of these people were elders or were people that were healers and midwives and things. So he's one of the big bad guys in history. And this is when he also went in and established plantations in Scotland and in Ireland and forced a lot of very poor people to work there. At the same time that this is happening, America is being established in the terms of English are going to America, right? So he's a massive patron of the arts and he's best mates with Shakespeare. So Shakespeare comes out, and this is where we get the name of our show from, because in Macbeth, which is one of the most famous historical plays that still operates today, in Macbeth, you hear these three witches and they say toil, toil and trouble. Now, these witches were considered old. It's kind of a bit hard to understand. The colour of their skin was questionable. And the reason why is because during this time, the bad people to the white people are all these native people, all these countries that they're colonising. They're like, oh, these people are fighting up against us. They're doing these weird rituals. They're doing these weird dances. They're wearing these weird clothes. They're bad. And that's why you see a lot of old artwork from that period where the devil is actually black. It is solely because they were doing so much colonization around this time, and they were like, people with darker skin than us, you know, with skin that's darker than the Pope's foreskin, they're bad. They're the devil. And you're able to spread that message of mass discrimination if you control the people that are writing and the people that are performing and the people that are... Anyway, so that's the start of all of this.
Yeah. Can I just lighten the mood a little bit?
Yes.
I played a witch in Macbeth when I was at school.
Wow.
No way.
You know, it was like thunder, lightning, or rain. Where shall we meet again? And I loved it. And people loved my part.
I thought black magic was just associated with, you know, not someone of colour. I thought it was just darkness, like situation, you know, playing with magic that's going to bring out not positive things in your way and not to touch it.
When you think about the instruments that were used or were, so, you know, the cauldron, for instance, a cauldron is literally used to make a large amount of food for a large amount of people. But that is how a lot of Southeast Asian cultures cook. They will cook a bulk amount of food, but they don't do that in England, right? So they weaponized a lot of these icons that we recognize with witchcraft as being bad, and it's solely taken from what they saw in other cultures. And they went, this is bad. Let's make this cauldron. They're always stirring over a pot. They're putting weird spices in there. What are they putting in there, you know? And they made this myth about it being a bad thing, and that carried on for so long.
You know, coming back to the witchcraft and everything, spells. I don't know why. That's such news to me. But spells for me, like we have chants, mantras, you know, chants like Om Namah Shivaya or a Gayatri mantra, you know. So these are also like they raise your vibration to a certain level and they attract those things to you. So if you go to an astrologer in India, they'll give you a chant based on your birth chart and everything and say, this is what you need to work on, because it's a chant. It's kind of a spell. But people just attach so much of sexism, racism to all these things. And you're like, you're idiots.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I said, we are all souls. We are all spiritual beings. We're just having this human experience in these bodies, what we have chosen. It's not a big fucking deal. Just relax. Let everyone live. Live and let live, you know?
Yeah.
Can we come back to religion for a second? Like when you were talking about affirmations and such, it also came to me, you know, when you manifest as well, when you're kind of wishing upon things. What's really hypocritical to me is like, again, bringing witches into it. You know, they're chanting, they're singing, they're dancing, whatever. But then you go look at a church, Catholic, Christian, whatever. They're doing exactly the same thing. They're praying, they're asking for God for things, they're singing, they're chanting. Can you guys not see what you're doing? Like you're so afraid of like this, but you're doing the same thing.
100%. I agree with you. I never saw it like that, but it is so true.
And, you know, the whole reference to black magic as well, like it comes down to just things that are different rather than going, I want to learn about this. They just went, no, that's bad. A lot of it did come down to like malicious intent. You know, they'd try later. People would come out and say, well, there's no such thing as witches. Like magic doesn't exist. But because a lot of women were in charge of fertility and being midwives and things like that, if a child came out and it was disabled, or if a child passed in childbirth, the woman was accused of doing black magic and injuring that child. There's no link there most of the time. But I guess people assume that if the outcome isn't what they want, then therefore there must have been some black magic at work. And it's like, well, no, sometimes nature is what nature is. Like not everyone's born the same, and that's just a reality.
And that's still happening today. Like if you look at other parts of the country, overseas, you know, kids are getting shunned because they look different or they've got a disability or...
And it's only like, I worry that it's only going to get worse. Like that's my biggest concern, particularly because we can't have DI anymore. No diversity and equity and inclusion. None of that. No.
I would have been put in like an asylum if I was back in like the 1900s for being
really?
deaf. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Big time.
They're like, oh, we can't afford to look after you.
She's not talking. She's not responding. They'll just put me in an asylum, call me crazy. Yeah, 100%.
Fun times. Don't you love being a woman?
Oh,
Just hot girl shit. So I want to talk about when England went into India and how this impacted them. Are you ready for the shittest part? Every time I'm about to do something really bad, I've got to give a trigger warning.
All right, trigger warning, and then we'll get beautiful Aarti to lighten the mood.
Aarti, you've got to make us feel better about this. Because
we're relying on you.
I'll do my best.
Yes.
I'll do my best white magic.
It is important to know, and we touched on this last week, we know that India had the Mughal invasion, which were essentially the Islam kind of influence on...
Oh, Hindu. So they came in to try and change. Okay, yep.
Correct. However, that ended in the early 1700s. And it's important to note that they did invade. That was a thing that happened. They did invade and they did some terrible things. No one's denying that. So the Mughals actually kept a lot of the wealth that was in India. They didn't try and export it out. They did a bit, but it wasn't like to the extent that the British did. So when they finished in India, India had 27% of the world's income, okay, the world's GDP. Something happens in between then and 1947. But at the end of 1947, India only had 2% of the world's income.
Thieves.
I wonder what happened, guys.
Someone took it all.
A white man.
Was it a white man? Was it? Could it be? So in 1739, the Persian Empire came into North India. I think a lot of like Rajasthani culture is probably still influenced a bit by that. And England was like, hey, whoa, if you guys are going to do that, we're also going to invade, you know, like, wait a second. So they kind of took advantage of that. Also, another group of people that were in India at some point as well were the Huns, and that's where Gupta Indians come from, I believe. So like why I'm trying to point this out is that there is a lot of invasion that happens all over history, but sometimes that's where you end up with these fusion of cultures. And if you ever are lucky enough to go to India, the one thing that I found was that it's so different. Every single area is so different, has their unique culture, has unique clothing, has unique food.
Oh, it's like a mini Europe.
Yeah. So India was actually the leader in manufacturing anywhere in the world, and it was better than Europe before the British came along. Not to mention they had incredible jewelry. They had a wealth of precious stones. Their architecture was next level. They had architectural designs that Europeans hadn't even conceived or thought of. And textiles, they were one of the biggest textile producers, and shipbuilding, and they would call them Bengal ships. They would last 20 years as opposed to the British ships, which only last a maximum of 12 years maybe. So even that, because when you look at India, it's got so many areas that were really significant port nations. And so they had this massive ability to sell their wares across the world. And actually a lot of England and Europe were using weapons that were made in India and then were getting shipped up along there. So they were very independent, very much keeping the wealth within the country. So they actually had 25% of the global textile trade by the 18th century. How to destroy a country 101. Let's get into it. Firstly, they dismantled all native industry. So England went in there and said, only we're allowed to purchase what you're selling. You can't sell to anyone else. You can only sell to us. So completely cut off their trade routes. On top of that, they said, we're not going to pay you with money though. We're going to pay you with tax concessions. So instead of taxing them at 80%, they might be like, we'll tax you at 76% instead. So they're not actually getting any income from all these goods that they're selling to England. The second thing that they did was they destroyed artisans and in particular the textile industry. They actually went in because British manufacturers of textiles were complaining that their textiles weren't selling in the world because India was producing much better quality textiles. So they got angry, went in and actually destroyed machines, so destroyed the textile machines. There's several reports of them breaking, like severely crippling textile workers so they couldn't use their hands anymore, if not just straight up murdering them. And then the British stopped buying from them. The British were like, we don't, because they were producing a lot more than the British could ever need. Now, this one is a Trump favorite word. They imposed an 80% tariff on the export of goods. So what that means is that if they wanted to sell anything elsewhere, they had to pay 80% of what they earned on that to the British. So they couldn't afford to do it because what money do they have left over kind of thing? And they were like, well, you can't sell to anyone else because either it's economically not feasible or it's just we're not going to let you. So the only thing they could export were raw goods. So cottons, they weren't allowed to export gems because the English took them. And then you went from having a bunch of people employed to only 0.7% employed in any form of manufacturing. The only way they could work was in agriculture. But of course, this had a really bad impact because the environment wasn't prepared for such a big influx of farming and whatnot. So there was then massive droughts. There was mass famine because they were trying to just give people jobs. And then, of course, this is kind of where the caste system really comes into play, because if you were rich, you could work indoors. If you were poor, you were in the fields. But that's like 90% of the population at this point, you know. And then on top of that, they taxed 50 to 80% of the gross income. So people ended up owing more in taxes than they were earning. And good old people in Parliament in England at the time were then bragging about it in Parliament as, look at how good we've done, guys. Like, these morons owe us money. They're working nonstop. They're not getting any money. They can't afford to feed their kids. So children were sold. Farmland was confiscated and given to the British. And then a lot of people were just tortured until they could pay. And if they couldn't pay, it was like, well, you're not worth anything. We'll kill you. There's another 10 million that will line up.
I had no idea this happened. Like, I mean, you know, doing history and stuff at school, we learned so much about war and World War II and whatever. But this is all new to me. Like, this is kind of really confronting.
So by the end of the 19th century, India was the largest source of revenue for England. They also purchased the most amount of exports, obviously. Now, how much do you reckon in US dollars today, all of that cost India? Like, if you were to put a figure on that.
I failed maths in year 9.
Like, if we're talking billions or something like that, how much money do you think the British took from India during this period?
I think I would go trillions. They did a lot of harm. They were money grubbing. They played mind games. Management games, you know, which Mughals didn't do.
No.
It was a fight. Mughals didn't come to steal anything. They just wanted to live there, you know, which is, again, like they created wars and everything. But British was like, their eyes got bigger than their stomach and they were like, I want all of this.
Greed.
Yeah.
Utter
They got
greed.
absolutely
Utter
greedy.
greed. Utter greed. Like Mahatma Gandhi, he said, there's enough for every person's need on this earth, but one person's greed can't be met.
And that's what it comes down to. And we've talked about this in other episodes, is the fact that there's enough to share. There's more than enough to share.
100%.
But 1% of the population has how much?
Yeah.
And the rest of us are, you know. So
How much is it, Jane?
43 trillion US dollars equivalent today. I feel like that's more than Elon Musk is worth. Like, that's 43 trillion. When I was looking at this morning, I was just like, what the fuck? What? The fuck?
They have taken everything. Like they've taken the fact that, you know, they made themselves the superior race. So they've taken all our Kama Sutra, yoga and everything. And Indians wanted to become like Westerners, you know? So when I was growing up, I would not go for a yoga class because it's so, you know, daggy.
Yeah.
You know, I would listen to Michael Jackson and Madonna and all. I love their music, you know. So I grew up doing that. And then suddenly some white person started talking about yoga and we went,
Namaste.
we love yoga. I'm like, bitch, we've been doing it for 5,000 years.
Some white woman came along and was like, namaste.
Namaste. And they
Yeah.
were like, oh, you're right. You must be right. Let's do yoga.
Let's do yoga. Yeah. And that's, now we're appropriating all those cultures. And it's like, but we were telling them it was backwards and it was like barbaric and like, oh, they've got these weird rituals and practices and they're so backwards. And that's what it came down to. And they were seen as witches. They were seen as other, like they were persecuted for these things that were now like, oh, but it could make white people money. Okay, that's cool. We can do that.
Yeah, it was a very planned thing, the whole colonization, if you think about it. So India was actually different states, like Europe. You know, like Europe has Germany, France, blah,
Yeah,
blah,
it was
blah.
like different kingdoms, wasn't
Different
it?
kingdoms, yeah. So British came in and they said, oh, it's so hard to rule different kingdoms. Let's call this whole area India. And then they were like, oh, and it's not a positive thing or negative thing. I'm just saying, you know, like they were very clever And they're like, oh, we need something to, manage the whole country. Let's build railways. Let's have post office. So they kind of united what we call India today. But the horrible things they did surpassed that. Like people say, oh, they left India. They didn't fucking leave India. They were going through World War II, where all their resources were going in that war. They ran out of money to rule India. They were like, this is costing us too much money. We can't do it anymore. So they left. And before leaving, they created India and Pakistan divide.
Divided, yeah. And that war is still going on today.
Oh, that war is still going on today. I don't know when it'll end or will it ever end. But the kind of seed they sowed about that partition, that's black magic. Done by white people.
Exactly. The malicious intent is there. The destruction is there. The brainwashing is there.
Yeah.
The thing that really does my head in, because I went to India for one of my best friend's weddings a few years ago, and the amount of people that came up to me at the wedding and went, oh, you look so beautiful in lehenga. But they're all going, oh, but it's so beautiful on you. It looks so nice on your white skin. And I'm like, and I'm looking at these other women going, you look so beautiful to me.
Yeah.
But they don't see it because it's this mentality of like white is good, dark is bad.
Yep. That is still there. It's still there. Whitening creams. There's this Fair and Lovely cream that I grew up, like I'd never applied it. I never liked it. And the advertising for that is, there's this girl, she's not finding a job and suddenly she starts using Fair and Lovely and then she gets a job. And then she's not finding a boyfriend. She uses Fair and Lovely. Now she's with a boy. And that cream did so well in the market. And I'm from advertising background. They did focus group study and they found out that men were using that cream as well to become fairer. And they came up with a cream called Fair and Handsome.
Were they using it on their penis? Is that where you're going with this, Aarti?
No.
No? Okay, just
Of course
me.
you thought of the dick.
I did. I was like, did they just, sorry.
Mine straight
Right down there, yes.
No, so they were then using it and then, and the ad was like, oh, you are a man. Why are you using a woman's cream? Use Fair and Handsome.
The sale of skin lightening creams in India in 2012 totaled around 258 tons and it was worth about 300 million. It is a huge industry.
Huge industry. And when I moved to Melbourne, I saw skin tanning creams. For a minute, I was like,
Why?
fuck? What is this?
You want to be browner? What? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, I've got an African American friend and he said even in their culture, the lighter shade of black is prettier than the darker shade of black. And I was like,
It's so fucked.
It is. It's that they all have that mentality, yeah.
right? It's so fucked. And then beauty industry is another industry that is cashing on this.
Yeah.
And I genuinely believe that beauty industry actually makes you feel ugly.
Oh, yeah.
They want to sell their products. They want to tell you, hey, you've got a problem with your face and we'll fix it, And it's like, I personally, I genuinely never wore makeup in my 20s. I was like, oh my God, it'll hide my natural beauty. And
I love that.
and that was just, a funny thing at the time. But now my daughter is 11. You know how beauty industry has seeped into 11-year-old girls, 12. Like, you don't need makeup. You're so beautiful.
My daughters are getting into the makeup now. I've got a 4-year-old and a 9-year-old, and same thing. Like even at school, the kids are going like, "I'm prettier than you," and saying, "I'm more beautiful than you. I'm more talented than you." And my daughter's becoming very insecure.
Yeah, my daughter has a eyelash curler. I didn't know at 11 what eyelashes were. Forget about having an eyelash curler. I still don't have an eyelash curler.
No, I don't even have one either.
And every morning she's spending half an hour. It's sad. It's sad, people. We need to stop this beauty industry. And it's like it's our own like women, we need to just strengthen, empower ourselves. We need to say, fuck off makeup.
It also comes to the man as well, who, has expectations that a woman should be a certain way.
Yeah. 100%. And
dress
like,
a certain way, you know, do their makeup a certain way, appear a certain way, like, you know.
but this is because, like I said, history is written by predominantly men, predominantly straight, cis, het, and whether they're white or brown or black, like they're generally straight, cis men. Like that's the thing they all seem to have in common. And they have then, because they've been able to shape the world by bashing everyone down to make them feel inferior, they get to make the world they want. And they want their women to look this way. They want their men to look this way. And if you are anything but, it's like, well,
I think women are, you know, creating an uproar now. I think we're becoming more powerful. We're becoming more louder. I can see that they're shaking in their boots.
That's
for sure.
I was telling Jane, I said we wouldn't have done anything if we are nurturers. Yeah. We love nurturing. We love making people around us happy. And we would have continued to be doing that. And, you know, like how in the olden days, 50s, women were housewives. They would indulge in music or art or painting and then, you know, just look after the family. We would have continued to do that only if we were treated like queens that we deserved to be.
Yep.
You know, hail queen.
Yeah.
You know?
We need a matriarchy.
We do.
But men stopped doing that. Like they started exploiting us, domestic violence, you know, disrespect. And you're like, and then we were like, fuck that shit. And then some woman must have woken up and thought, oh, I'll go to work because she was being beaten at home, blah, 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 whatever. She went to work and she's like, fuck, this is so easy. She came back, she told all her women friends, this is so much easier, you know? Being a nurturer is so much difficult. Go to work, come back home. And then they were like, oh yeah, let's all do it. So we all started doing it, but still we've come a long way with, you know, equality and glass ceiling and all that. But we have a long way to go.
A long way to go. And this is why it's really important and why I love, you know, like we've had only you and Audrey so far as our guests, but one of the biggest issues with, I guess, feminism in the past is this lack of intersectionality. And when I say that, I refer to there's been observed in history that we keep coming to these points in time where the oppressors are coming down too hard. And whether you're a person of color, a person who's disabled, a person who's LGBTQI, a woman, whoever you are, like if you band together and go, you know what, it's the same group of people that are all trying to push us down. We need to work together. And that's why I think this time is really interesting in history, because we have we are learning a lot more about how badly everyone has been treated. And we're starting to come together and go, well, fuck this. Like, why do we keep letting this happen? And
we're becoming louder and louder and we're doing something about it. So the word is getting out there and it's better than it was 5 years ago.
Well, I also feel that we as women need to stand together. You know, like even growing up, if a woman is different, she's shining, bright, other women would talk about her behind her back.
Which is horrible.
And put her down. She's like, oh my God, she's working.
You play like a white housewife so well.
Yeah. But it's all this jealousy.
It's so true though.
It is. And then, you know, like, I don't want to be pro men on this podcast, but have you ever seen two brother-in-laws having jealousy or whatever, but two sister-in-laws?
Yeah.
My child is better than yours. My husband is better than yours. My house is better than yours. My curtain is better than yours. We just create this stupid competition for no fucking reason.
No reason.
It's like, bitch, your curtain is as good as hers. Just calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
You know?
I made someone in my life very angry with something that I said to him. So he's in his 60s. He sits on a couch, like his chair, from like, you know, lunchtime till dinner time. You know, doesn't really do anything that, you know, a woman would do. Like he was just in that chair all the time. Anyway, I made him very, very angry because all I said to him was, you would be nothing without us, without a woman. Like you would be nothing without a woman. And my God, he arced up. Like think of a dog with like its hairs like coming out of his back. He's just like, that's not true, that you take that back. And I was like, you wouldn't. And we wouldn't need you because like, you know, we could get rid of all the men across the world and we would still be able to procreate.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need you.
Well, this is the thing. They're talking about this male loneliness pandemic and they're like, this is what's causing all the problems. And it's like, yeah, because women are finally like, we've had enough of your shit. Why would I want to be with a man when I have vibrators? Like, I can earn my own income. I can buy my own house. I can drive my own car. I don't need you. And that's why they're trying to take the access to reproductive rights away and stuff like that. It's a way of controlling women. It's a way of going, if you get pregnant with my baby, you are linked to me forever. And therefore I have some control over you. And I mean, no offense, but like we need reproductive rights, particularly when you look at people like Trump and Musk who are spreading their seed with every which way, you know. Like
Men are very good at that, spreading their seeds.
But then taking no responsibility for the child raising. Like they want to do the sex, but without doing anything after that.
I think it just comes down to respecting everyone, accepting everyone the way they are. I think the main root cause of everything is I am better than you, whether it is religion, sexism, racism, you know. Do whatever you want to do at home. You Hindu, you pray to 5,000 gods at home. But don't come out and say, oh, my religion is better than yours because...
And if you want to, you know, go to the gym and train in your rain suit, like go for it.
Go
Just
for
be
it.
you.
100%, you know, and curiosity is a great thing. And I love what you said, I love it. Like being curious can get you places, but being judgmental, it just closes the door. And I am curious, like, why are you doing that? I want to just know. No judgment, nothing. I just want to know. Maybe I'll do it.
Yeah. Maybe there's some great health benefit to this that we're all missing.
Yeah.
So I wanted to end today's episode after all that shitness with just a bit of a very cool person I found in my research who I thought she deserves a good mention. It's from this brilliant book called 100 Nasty Women. If you haven't read it, I recommend it. The author wrote it when Trump was elected the first time. And so when I picked it up from an op shop and I started reading, I'm like, why is this still so relevant? Oh, right, because she wrote it when Trump was in last time and, you know, here we are again. Anyway, so she talks about 100 different women and they're all different walks of life, different eras, but it's just to show you how badass women have always been. And the one in particular I want to talk about is Lakshmi Bai.
Yes, queen.
Yes, queen. She was literally a queen.
I'm like, tell me more.
She fought those British people like a tigress.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Amazing.
And she was really young, 22.
And she tied her very young infant son on her back because like she lost her husband and she's like, I'm not giving up my kingdom to you, asshole. And she was just amazing.
She was, yeah.
I need to read about her. Sounds amazing.
I put it in the PowerPoint I sent to you.
And I looked at it last night. I loved it. Thank you.
So
she thinks I didn't read it. I did.
But there's this awesome image and I'll make sure to show you afterwards. But she's dressed in men's clothing because that's how she went to battle. And yeah, she's got the sword, she's got the big shield, she's got the belt wrapped around her. So she was actually born into the Brahmin caste, which was the household of the Peshwa, the rulers. She actually grew up with boys and she was trained in martial arts and she became proficient in horse riding and sword fighting. So that was very important in her early development. Ended up marrying the Maharaja of Jhansi, but then she was widowed and there was no heir that survived. Now in Hindu tradition, the Maharaja could adopt a boy as their heir. And he did this just before he died. So she was like, yep, this is my son. This is the new Maharaja. Like everyone respected that. Apart from the British Governor General who was like, yeah, no, you can't do that. Like he wasn't conceived by your husband. So therefore, no, he's not the new Maharaja. Therefore, we don't recognize that Jhansi is its own kingdom and we're annexing it.
Can I say something? How hypocritical. Bloody Queen Elizabeth. Her husband died a long time ago. She didn't fucking leave the throne till she died. God bless her soul.
She had no kids. Yep.
Yeah, and it's like, that's so hypocritical. Okay, go on. Thank you.
It is. It's fucked, but they wouldn't recognize it. And so Lakshmi, who was only 22 at the time, refused to cede it to the British and a mutiny broke out in 1857. Now, I think it's funny because today people are like, oh, how corrupt is it that America has a corporation that's controlling the government? Like you have Tesla, you have Amazon, you have Facebook, like they're all involved with the government right now. But this is nothing new. Like the British East India Company, they were very much the soldiers for the British Army. And so they were in India at this time and they overwhelmed Jhansi. And then like she got a bunch of people, got control back over the city fortress of Gwalior. I'm not sure if I'm saying that.
Gwalior, yeah.
Gwalior. And she got the treasury and the arsenal. She seized that shit. She was like, So then they marched forward. They marched east for another battle. She was dressed as a man because as a woman, you can't go into battle. So she's dressed as a man. And she fought a very fierce battle, but unfortunately was killed in combat. But like, what badass. Like, and once again, we go back to like, so we were talking about Joan of Arc last week. And the reason why Joan of Arc was killed was because she wore men's clothing. It wasn't because she heard the voice of God and killed the British. It was because she wore men's clothing in battle. And they were like, well,
this is inappropriate. You'll die.
Yeah, women can't fight. What? So she dressed as a man and they're like, you can't dress as a man and fight. What? And I think the last thing I'll say is that I think Indian women are fucking fierce. And there's a group in India at the moment called the Gulabi Gang. And they literally hunt down men who commit crimes against women. And they're a vigilante group. So they do what they need to.
Woohoo! Yay!
How do I sign up?
That. And I think when you think back to Kali and you think back of that fierceness, like, just, yeah.
No,
like Indian women.
But you have to be. Like I grew up in Delhi, okay? And I would be on a public transport. You know, someone would come and might pinch your boob, your ass. And to prevent that, I used to carry an umbrella and keep it like that. And if someone touched me, God, I would just ram it into them. And they were like, they wouldn't know. And I was such a angry young woman, you know. I was always angry. You had to be, you know. And then I think I moved here and found peace. You know, like it's the other way around. White people go to India and they're like, we want to find peace. I'm like, bitch, we are 1.2 billion people. You cannot find peace there, even if you want to, you know.
It's kind of
Are
like,
you fucking idiot?
you had to fight for your safety for so long. Like that kind of explains why you were so angry. And you come here and you don't have to have fear anymore. Like you're just like, oh, no one's gonna grab me in places. Like of course that's still probably gonna happen. Like, you know, you go to a bar, get a slap on the ass, but like, you know, having to hold on to something every day to try and protect yourself.
I found myself here amongst 20 million people. Is that what your population is?
Yeah, like the population of Mumbai alone is more than Australia, the whole of Australia.
100%, yes. That's what we were taught, yeah. Like, how can you find yourself there? How? How? You'll get lost.
too many balls.
And I also wonder, because like obviously India had very much a dowry system.
Yeah.
And in some places it still happens. And like to me, it's so disgusting because you're just treating that woman like she's property. Like, you're done with this family. Something I learned in my MBA was the ethics behind sex determination in pregnancies. They have to be really careful with that in India because of the level of infanticide that happens.
That's true. So you're not allowed sex determination in India. You have to pay a lot of money to get it done because people terminate a female pregnancy. It's like what happened in China when they had one child policy, right? And it's sad. I'm like, women rock the world. Like, what are you without us? I love being a woman. Like, I love it. Like, next lifetime, I want to come back as a woman.
Yeah, me too.
Prettier,
but I hope I
sassier.
come back when the patriarchy's gone. Like, that's my only thing. I'm like, I'm all good for coming back as a woman, but let's just have the patriarchy done with because it's exhausting. It really is. Some days anyway.
Yeah. No, it is. I was at Speakeasy. I was doing this thing and I don't know how it came along. So this lady, she was with her sons. And I said, I think patriarchy, I was thinking about patriarchy. And I said, mothers of boys are to be blamed because they raise these darling son syndrome people. Darling, what kind of a sandwich would you like? No butter, cheese, ham? And they take it. Oh, mom, it doesn't have mayonnaise. Oh, I'll put it for you. Like they do that. They pick up their dirty laundry. They wash their dirty laundry. They don't teach them anything. And then they get married or have a girlfriend or whatever. And they're like, bitch, you're not like my mom.
Yeah.
You're not good enough. You know, it's like, no.
One of my best friends, she's Sri Lankan Tamil.
Yeah.
And I love listening to her horror dating stories, but she's like, there's definitely a big issue with a lot of brown men in particular where they are mummy's boys and they are raised as kings.
Yes.
And so when they meet a girl, they're like, if I'm taking you to dinner, you better be putting out. And she's gorgeous. I'm very much I think souls are attractive rather than an outward appearance, but she's beautiful. And the amount of drop kicks that are like, oh, I don't date bigger girls, or, oh, your skin's too dark for me. Like I want I can't remember what the word is, but they want like a whiter skinned.
Fairer.
Yeah, like Sri Lankan girl. And you're like, what the fuck? Meanwhile, you're just this big pudgy like meat sack who farts all the time and burps all the time and like you don't like
Yeah.
I didn't realize that I was with a mummy's boy until separation.
Oh, really?
But yeah, big time. And now I look back after like therapy and I'm like, oh, I see the problem there. He wanted to be with his mum, not with me. Like would get openly angry if he came home and found the laundry hadn't been done. Or there was like a bit of like flour on the bench, but I had like finished cooking and I was like writing down the shopping list, but the whole kitchen was clean and just hadn't gotten to that last bit, and he would get angry at me for that.
Yeah.
So I wasn't reaching his expectation of how his mother babied him.
Yeah.
So,
See, my husband is not at all a mama's boy. He's very independent, very, hands-on. In fact, in our household, it's the other way around. When I come back home and the dishes are not put away, I'm like, what the fuck? So my daughter is watching that and growing up. So hopefully she'll be like the same words to her husband, like, why haven't you done laundry? Get up.
Yeah. But it's important. Like my partner is beautiful when it comes to like he is the cook in the house. He is he is definitely the more domesticated one, whereas I'm more chaotic and like I have like because I'm such a creative person. I just have shit everywhere and I'm like, I know the pile. It's an organized pile in my head. Don't worry, you don't know about it. It's fine. But he's a mummy's boy, but in a good sense in that when I was with his parents recently, his dad takes very good care of his mother and his mother and father then both take very good care of their sons. But because he had to move away from where he grew up very young and now he's lived in 3 different countries and, so like he had to learn how to do a lot of things by himself.
Yes.
So he had to learn how to cook for himself.
Yes.
He had to learn that no one is going to clean up after me. He had to learn I need to earn my own money because my parents can't afford it. Like you can still have a good relationship with your mother and not turn out to be a complete fuckwit. Like
100%, 100%. See, I think it's the boys who leave early and they're forced to,
stand on their own 2 feet.
Yeah. And their mummies are not there to, mother them. Yeah, I think there's a lot, when we dig deeper, there's a lot of this, and you just got to raise better men, women. Stop cleaning their shit, just.
I made my son clean his room. I said, well, you got to clean your room or you don't get, your KFC for dinner. And my God, he cleaned that room really fast. He's like, Mum, come see, it's all clean. I even mopped the floors. I'm like, here's your popcorn chicken.
But have you noticed that? Like my ex-husband, he would do one task around the house and he'd want me to give him a gold star. He'd be like, I folded the clothes. And I'm like, cool, you're an adult. You folded your own clothes. Congrats. Like, I don't know what you want from me, but
I think you need to get him a chart. Just get him like, his little
that's why he's my
gold
ex-husband.
sticker. Yeah. Oh, yeah, no. No, he can burn. Sorry. Misheard that one. Don't care about you.
Actually, we've got to be careful because last week a bunch of our videos got reported for misandry, for hating men. It came up and it was like, this is hate speech. And I'm like, what?
Because they were saying that I was Jeffrey Dahmer because I wanted like glasses like him. And I was like, oh, it's just to scare the men away.
Yeah. And apparently that's hate speech. Yeah. So we'll just bleep out every time we say men in this, we'll bleep it out. And it's like, just insert what you think that word is.
Mark Zuckerberg's like, oh, hell no.
Block that shit. What are these women doing? Talking? Ugh.
How dare they?
These witches, they are witches.
Right? Yeah.
Casting spells.
Spells. Well, I mean, we'll get into that later, but like the word gossip has been weaponized against women. A gossip actually just used to be someone you would have a chat with,
But I think men gossip so much too.
Men gossip way more than women do. They just do it over cigars and like port.
I told my husband something about his friend's brother. This is the conversation. I've just blurted it out. He's sitting. I haven't even put a full stop in my sentence. And it's like, oh, do you know?
They gossip so much more than women, I
And my
think.
mother-in-law was
do.
sitting there and we both looked at each other shocked. We were like, what?
And also women coming together was their way of communicating.
Yes.
All right. We're very good at that. We're very good at nurturing and how are you? How are you going? Like you well, do you need anything? Should I cook something for you? Like women are very not only maternal but just emotionally aware.
And we're
Men
communal.
don't do that.
We're communal.
Yes.
And that's the thing, like a lot of, even like with the religions, like it's one deity. We've gone from having multiple deities working together, building the world together. Like this person provided the fire, that person provided, I don't know, fertility, like, you know, to just being like, nah, one dude, in 7 days, he fucking created everything by himself. Yep. But you know what? Like that's literally what it is, and that's all. You look at like Trumps, you look at Musks, you look at any of these people in history, and they're all just trying to be that pinnacle, that one dude that's like doing everything, and you're like, no.
Have you guys noticed like in movies and things like that, there's always that hysterical woman. She goes running up to a man. She's like, oh my God, what do we do? What do we do? You know, it's always that common trait that the women are just like, oh, we don't know how to like run the world, when in fact it's the other way around. In real life, it's the men going, and then the woman comes in and goes, all right, so what we're going to do is we're going to put this here and then we're going to come swooping in there. And the women are the creators. The women are the minds of it all.
Yeah.
But yeah, men just get so threatened by that.
Have you seen that movie, The Big Greek Wedding?
Yes.
Yes, I love that movie.
In that she says, man might be the head of the family, but woman is the neck that turns the head.
100%. I love that quote so much.
And it's even just like you look at a lot of people in history that were thought of being great, a lot of authors and stuff that we still read today. It was actually the wives that were writing it, but they couldn't release it under their own name, so they had to put in the husband's name.
Yeah.
And like there's so much of that where you're like, well, how much of it was actually written by a woman? Or even when it comes to cultural, like we steal so much culture from everywhere else and then we rebrand it and we're like, oh, it's Western now, and it's like so cool.
That's the same thing with artists as well, like painters. A lot of them were painted by women and the men got the credit.
Yeah. It's fucked.
Wow.
Anyway, it's been lovely. It's been so good talking to you, Aarti. This is not, we love men. Men are great, okay? We don't hate men. We need them for stuff.
I'm definitely gay after this.
No more
Find me a
bananas for
woman.
you.
No more men.
No. Speaking of what's coming up next, you can catch Aarti in her incredible show. You're doing a split bill show with, sorry, I can't even remember your partner's name.
Ankita Ghosh.
Ankita.
Yes.
I love that. And it's called, what is your show? Tell us about your show. How about you do that? Because I'm just flailing here.
It's a show. Ankita and I are doing a show. She lives in Vietnam. She's an Indian girl. She lives in Vietnam and she's coming all the way from Vietnam to participate in the Melbourne International Comedy Festival. And our show is called... Oh my God, that is so exciting.
Are you going to have any like yoga in your show or any like breath work? Like,
No. That's for white people.
From Byron Bay.
We'll do Kama Sutra chat.
like we're all about the down and dirty.
Like that is, like it's so true, right? We invented Kama Sutra and sex is such a repressed thing in my country and white bitches are having fun. I'm like, how the fuck that works?
Yeah.
How?
You're like, what's my orgy? Like what?
Like that was supposed to be mine. But anyway, coming back to the show, it's called Gen XXX.
Gen XXX. I love it.
Oh my
No, because we were like, what do we do with our show? Like, what do we do? What do we name it? Because name is the hook, you know?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, we both are Indian. I'm like, yeah, there are so many Indians. They're everywhere, you know? There's nothing special about it. We both women. I was like, come on, seriously. Yeah. And then
You're like, be more creative.
yeah,
come on.
And then one day I was driving on the Westgate Freeway. And I was like, this light bulb moment. I was like, we both are Gen X. And she said, yes. And we can say Gen X rated. And we were like, yes. And then she said, no, X rated, you don't know what kind of people might come. You know, they might expect,
Yeah, they're gonna think you can
show us your tits.
Yeah, exactly.
Where's the Kama Sutra? Come on.
So she said, let's do Gen XXX. I was like, that's fantastic. Let's name it Gen XXX. You know,
I love
it's like-
that.
Yeah.
You need to give them like a bit of a teaser at the beginning of your show and like get into a position thinking that that's what they were there for. And then be like, hee hee, that's not the show. You're here for the wrong thing. Anyway.
Anyway, now that I've got your attention.
Yeah.
Let's do our stand-up.
Yeah. You have to do like your white housewife voice when you start off to
Oh my gosh,
completely
yes.
fool them. Yeah. Hey guys. Welcome.
Yeah, I breastfed my child for 3 years. See, these are the things women do, right? To each other. It's like, I could not breastfeed my child, and I felt daggers from other. I'm like, I breastfed for 5 years. I'm like, good on you, bitch.
Congrats.
But that's what happens, you know. So I think we need to stand together. We need to not judge each other. And we need to just do what we want to do without caring, giving a flying fuck.
If it doesn't impact you, why do you have to have an opinion on it? But you call out someone like Trump or Musk and all these people come and they're, oh, he's doing the right thing. He's being a good guy. I'm like, he's fucking hurting a lot of people.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm just in a man-hating mood today.
Don't worry.
If you want to catch Aarti, go see her show, Gen XXX. It is on from the 8th of April to
20th of April.
20th of April. And
7:15 p.m. every night, except Monday at the Grace Darling Hotel.
at the Grace Darling Hotel. And if you want to see our show, what are the details?
Please come to Speak Easy Theatre. It is Toil, Trouble and Trauma. You can find us on the MICF website. Easy. Just type in Emily Bigger.
Just type in Emily Bigger. And we're
Is that
on,
right?
Yeah, you did. Yeah. So I don't even know what time we are, but we're later.
Yeah,
8:45 or something.
Yeah, we picked a really good time.
Speakeasy Theatre, 7th to the 15th of April. Buy tickets.
Yeah, and don't bring your children.
Yeah, not safe for children or possibly crybaby men. That's also another warning we have to put on it.
Do you want some booby milk?
Anyway, thank you so much for listening. This has been A Witch is Coloured and Speaks in Tongues, and we will catch you next time.
Bye.